So this is part two of my journey so far. And in part one, I think we looked about how I left from Africa to Thailand, from Thailand to Malaysia, and I ended up signing my first professional football contract in Malaysia after a year.
My name is Akot Sani from South Sudan, and my dream is to play professional football anywhere in the world. I left home with empty hands and a bag full of dreams and ambitions to become a professional footballer. Is it going to be easy? Of course not, but it is definitely worth it in the end. I have chosen to put my life into this, and there is no going back till I achieve my dream, because dreams are meant to be lived. Where there's a will, there is always a way. Welcome to my journey. This is the road to pro contract.
So this is part two of my journey so far. And in part one, I think we looked about how I left from Africa to Thailand, from Thailand to Malaysia, and I ended up signing my first professional football contract in Malaysia after a year. This was during COVID, and somewhat the federation made a rule that there were no fans allowed in the stadium, so the clubs decided that they didn't want to have foreign players in the league, and so my contract got cancelled. And once it got cancelled, the club agreed that they were going to pay the 4 month salary of the contract upfront, and then I would leave the rest. And we agreed that, but tried to get back to that payment. None of it has got into my account till date, so I just left it at that. Anyway, the club ended up folding anyway afterwards. And what happened was, with the three foreigners that were there was me, Joao Pedro, and Ibra. We all ended up going to separate ways. Joao Pedro actually luckily ended up signing with Malaysia Super League club. I think it was KLCD. I don't remember. And then me and Ibra, Perak FC wanted to have us. They were also playing the Super League at the time, and so we went for a trial there. We did all right, and they said, yeah, when the transfer window opens, we're gonna get back to you. But apparently Perak had some issues with the in their squads. They had gone 4 months without paying their player salary. So when the transfer window came by, all the foreign players left and some of the star players left. I think the CEO resigned at the time. The main sponsor pulled out, and the club was in a big mess. So technically, if they were not able to pay the players that they had, then there was no way they were going to bring in somebody and pay them. And so nothing happened. Waited, nothing happened. Ended up going for trials at PDRM FC, organized through some connections that I made. And when I went there, they just said that I was very skinny and I was young, inexperienced. They wanted older players, and this is the thing with Asia. Asia is only good if you are an older player, big body, with some experience, so you can be able to help the local lads, And myself, I needed help at the time, and so it didn't just work out for me. And then I was there like thinking, I can't stay in Malaysia since I'm not playing. I needed to find somewhere to go to. And so I knew a friend who was in Dubai, Jones Tiap. Shout out to you, Jones. We got in contact, and I was like, listen, I want to come to Dubai. What do you think? He's like, yeah, there are tons of teams here. Come and let's see if you might have your luck here. So I ended up flying down to Dubai. He was kind enough to allow me to stay in his place, and we started going club hunting together. And so when we went for clubs, actually before I went down to Malaysia, I went down to Dubai. I had a friend who had been following my journey from YouTube, and he had made contacts. Some Algerian guy. He had made contacts in Dubai because he was in Dubai at some point. So he gave me some of those contacts. He's like, when you go down there, you can speak to these people and see what could come up. And I was like, top. So I go down to Dubai. The first club I went to was Masfood. And Masfood, when I contacted the sporting director, he's like, listen, there's a player that the coach already wants to sign, so he's already training with the team in your position. So there's no point of you coming. And I was just like, come on, just let me come and show what I can. I might change the coach's mind. And again, I didn't realize that also in Dubai, in the first and the second division, which is the first tier and the second tier, they are allowed to have, I think, 3 foreigners. And so that totally changed the game. It means I was only going to fight for very limited spots. And so when I got down there, trained I think for about a week. Me and Jones as well, we went together. We trained for about a week, and after that, they're just like, sorry, we're not taking you. And I said, okay, we kept it moving. Reached out to also a contact of this agent. He took me to Masafi, I think. Yeah, he took me to Masafi. But when I got to Masafi, it was the first day of preseason and they were only running, there was no ball. So the club was like, listen, you can't bring him when we're only just running. We'll not be able to see his quality. So bring him 2 weeks after the start of the preseason so we can have see friendlies. The agent didn't have the time, and I think he went back to Italy, so nobody was able to take me there. I ended up also going to Al Oroba. At the time, they just got promoted or relegated. I don't know, from the to the AFCON League the first year. And when I went to Al Oroba, technically they said, obviously you're supposed to bring your COVID results when you're going to train with other players. And I did the COVID results the night before, and by the time I got there, the results were not out. And they were angry. They just thought I was lying. They were like, how could you lie to us? They almost stopped me from training, but they were like, since I've made that long trip to get down there, they allowed me to train. And after training, the results came out. Actually, I showed them, but they were already angry, so they said, don't come back. I came back to Sharjah where we were living, and I just kept training. Went to, I think, United. Like every trial that you could think of that existed, I was going there. Until one day, we're on Facebook. I think John saw it of me. I think John's Tiep saw it. And there was this club, Al Hilal United. They posted on their Facebook page that they were doing open trials out, and you had to fill in the form. That was all. It was free. You couldn't pay a fee. And I filled it up. Me and Jones, we filled it up, and then one of our friends, the other guy as well. What's his name? What was his name? Some guy, I forgot his name, from Cameroon. And so we filled it up, and then we went to the trial, and there were 265 players that went there, and the club I think only wanted to sign about 11 or 10 players. Oh, before the Al Hilal thing, before the Al Hilal thing, I went for trials with Al Nasir through a different contact. And when I went to Al Nasir, the trial was one of the most disorganized trials that I've been at. Like, it was with the under 23, basically it was in the first team. And Al Nasir, when we went there, the way they were selecting people was how the starting 11 was. The coach would just say, who plays in this position? Everybody would raise their hands. So whoever raised their hand first, or whoever just points at, starts. So there was really no order. Someone would put their hands up in 5 different positions. And I ended up playing in the last 20 minutes of the game. And the coach was not even there because the people that started the game, most of them came to out of shape. Second to that, they just got beaten 3-0 in 10 minutes by the under 17. So the coach was like, all these guys are trash, they shouldn't be here. And he just left. After the game, I tried to speak to him. They couldn't let me, and I just kept it moving. Anyway, so back to Al Hilal, I went for the trial. So they divided into 2 groups. First batch came the first day, and then second batch came the second day, because you cannot trial all the 200 at once, And I think we were on the second batch, and from there they select 20, and then they put all the 40 together, took them to preseason. This is, if you remember from the first part of this story in Malaysia, almost the same thing that happened. And I made it to the first 40. So we went for a preseason camp, I think for like 2 weeks. And after the 2 weeks, the coach only sent emails out to I think about 10 players that he wanted to sign to join up with the other players that the club had already signed. And I was lucky. I got this email in the morning, and I was happy that they offered me a contract. And so the next day we had to go do medical, and I went to this coach sent me the address of the hospital we're supposed to do medical in. I have to meet up with the rest of the boys and then go there. We went there, did a medical examinations, and the next in the morning I woke up to this text. I'm not sure it's going to be somewhere here. The coach says, listen, the secretary said there was a problem with my medical results. I have to go and check again. If I want, I could go check a different hospital. I went back to the same hospital, same problem. The coach says, okay, go try a different hospital of your choice and then send us the results. Same problem. I failed the medical and now I was not able to sign. And so I was like really stressed out. I was like, damn, now all my doors in Dubai are closed. I couldn't play in Dubai because the medical or whatever that thing that made me fail medical, I can't sign any other club in Dubai. I can't play in Dubai. It's not possible to play in Dubai with that. And this is why up to today, I can never go back and play in Dubai, even if I have an offer from what I cannot, because the federation will not issue for me a license with that condition. Anyway, it was done and I was like, damn, what am I supposed to do with my life? And then I had to leave Dubai because I have to keep playing. And so the coach was like, listen, I can find you something else outside Dubai. I know you're a good player and you've been a very good kid around here in the trainings and stuff, so I can find you something somewhere. And I said, I'm open to it. So his assistant coach, while he was coaching Lithuania, had been made the head coach. So when he was made the head coach, he pitched out a word to the assistant, to his now the head coach. Is like, listen, I have this very good winger. He was supposed to register with us, but for some reason he was not able to sign. So would you want to take him in? And the club says, oh, unfortunately, the president says they are not having foreign players for coming season because the ones they had last season, they didn't perform. So they rather just stick with the academy players, and just like this. And now I was like, okay, back to square zero. No, nothing, no prospect, nothing. And the same agent that took me to Wasafi got me another deal to go to Albania, second division. And Albania was a trial as well, because this coach apparently signed, this agent signed the coach who is in that team in Albania that was taking me to. I was not able to get the visa as well. Another agent that I networked with got me a deal to go to Georgia, also fell through, and now I had 0 opportunities left. And so what did I do? Went back home to South Sudan. It was, my visa actually already ran out and in Dubai, but yeah, that's a different story. So I went back to South Sudan and I was thinking, what was I going to do next with my life? Because, and funny thing is, when I got to South Sudan, it was the transfer window period. So the transfer window was open, teams were signing, and something was telling me, because in South Sudan, you really can sign for a very good sign-on fee. Like the sign-on fee is always good. There are players that can sign for 10,000, 15,000, sign-on fee 20,000, or even more, just to sign. They don't have like monthly salaries, most clubs at least. And I was like, should I sign here, run with your money, or? And then I was like, it's gonna hurt me in the long run. And so I ended up not signing in South Sudan. So if you like this story, watch out or comment down below for part 3, and I'll drop it when I get time again. But as you guys can see, nothing has been straight on my journey. It's been just so many ups and downs. I would get an opportunity. I do everything I can in my power to get an opportunity, but things outside my own doings, just let it fall through. So if you're enjoying this story, go subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, wherever you're watching this video, and yeah, just comment down below and I'll drop part 3 up next. So it's been me, your boy Sunny. Until then, peace.